Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon-free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. So while I don't believe that everybody's perfect or that everybody is flawless, I do have a hard time sometimes admitting all of my mistakes that I've made, because I like to think that people turn to me and they trust me to give them guidance and to give good advice. And sometimes when you're in that position of being someone's guide, it's really hard to admit that you're making mistakes. Now, they do shape our wisdom. I think that mistakes are really what sculpt our wisdom. But at the same time, it can be difficult to admit. And today I'm going to just admit to you guys my 3 most expensive mistakes I've made in business. And basically tell you that as a CFO myself, I'm still an entrepreneur first. I'm still making my own financial mistakes. I am not somehow immune from the same mistakes you guys make. I think I'm just aware of the science behind it. It's kind of like how a personal trainer isn't, immune from cheesecake. Like if they want to go to the Cheesecake Factory and eat to their heart's content, they can. And if they have that habit, they can, but they can still know a crap ton about fitness and still choose their own journey and make their own decisions. And similarly, I find myself in business struggling with certain things, not just financially, but I've gone through a lot of growth and a lot of change in the last couple of years. And I'm going to reflect on that today and share with you my 3 most expensive mistakes. So here we go. Number 1, this one hurt like a mother: hiring and overpaying the wrong person. I've done this several times, actually. I've done this several times in my business where I have been really excited to hire someone or to bring someone into the business. And I have all the best intentions in the world and I have all the best assumptions in the world about how this person is going to work out. And I invest not just my time, my energy, I invest money in this person. And I think, oh, well, if I pay them top tier talent prices, then they will show up, they will deliver. And, that advice can apply. But I think that first and foremost, you have to make sure they're worth that price tag. And you have to really make sure you're vetting people and make sure that they're technically skilled in the areas that you need. And I think that they always say hire slow, fire fast. And I think my interpretation of that advice is to take your time hiring the right person. But as soon as you identify that they're not the right person, you need to make a decision. You need to make an absolute decision. Now, you have to give them enough of a chance to succeed. And this is where the challenge is. I have a tendency to assume that they just need more time or they just need more coaching or I haven't given them enough. I haven't set them up for success. And I put a lot of that pressure back on myself and I kind of blame myself if an employee isn't successful. And I actually do believe that if an employee is not set up for success, if they are not successful in your company, that there is a certain degree of ownership you have to take for that. However, I don't think it benefits you to dwell in blaming yourself for all of it. I think that you take what you want out of it, you extract out the lesson, you extract out, okay, that hire didn't work out and I need to move on and I need to find the right person, but I need to extract out from this experience, what am I really looking for? What did I learn that I don't want? Did I learn something new about my core values because something was crossed? Was I frustrated in a way that was unforgivable? I think I just identified a boundary and a core value here that I need to make sure that I adhere to. So hiring and overpaying the wrong person was probably my biggest mistake. I look back and go, I would have so much more money in my bank account. I would feel so much more confident in my financial decisions right now if I did not spend that money on people that didn't end up working out. Now, I say it's an expensive mistake. It's an expensive lesson. Really, all of these mistakes that I'm sharing with you are really tuition. And that's my favorite way to reframe a financial mistake, is to say, well, that was expensive tuition to learn a lesson. I mean, I have learned probably more from some of these experiences than I did in some college classes. So, to be fair, I'm paying a fair price for these lessons, but I would like to avoid them if I can. I would say, going along the lines of that theme, my second mistake is saying yes too soon. And by that, I mean saying yes to clients, saying yes to employees, like going back to hiring someone and saying, yes, you're hired, and saying yes to purchasing things, saying yes to investments too soon. And sometimes the answer is yes, but the real right answer is not now. The answer is an eventual yes. It doesn't have to be right now. So I think that I have been, in my sort of Enneagram 3 tendencies, I have been accustomed to making snap decisions and making spontaneous decisions, which can serve me well in terms of forward progress and messy action. However, that does leave for a lot of mistakes, and that leaves for a lot of, saying yes to investing in things I shouldn't be, saying yes to, taking on client work that I shouldn't be, and not even necessarily being motivated by the money, but just like in that moment, just going, yeah, we could totally do that. And not giving myself the time to really think about it, not giving myself the time to sit back and like formulate a proposal and formulate the plan of how we're going to actually fulfill and execute on that. And I have gotten myself tied up in so many projects I should not have been in. And it's a lesson learned. And I think, though, that having a team and hiring a team, this has helped me so much with my accountability, because now if I say yes to, say, a client and pick up a project or a new client, I'm accountable to them. I see myself as accountable to my team to say, hey, if I were to bring this client on, what does it mean for them? How much more work are they going to have to do? What does it mean for their workload or their experience working here? What does it mean if I take this on? And especially, what if I take this on and I don't take a fair price for it? Like, I'm not getting paid enough. Some of my team members are on a commission. So now if I don't charge full price, I'm going to kind of be screwing them over. And I'm now accountable to that. And it's helpful because it keeps me honest. It keeps me, sticking with my pricing, sticking with my policies, and it helps to keep me consistent. So I would say, if you're somebody like me who says yes too soon or yes too quickly to things, then become conscious of that, right? If you can relate, become conscious of it. And then here's what I would say: turn around and say, okay, next time I'm presented with a decision that doesn't have to be made right this second, not life or death here, I would say, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Like, give yourself at least a sleep between the decision and then, because if you still want to do it the next day, it's kind of like leaving that thing in your shopping cart and then letting it sit there and waiting for the open cart email, or waiting for the, or the abandoned cart email, or waiting for some like another urge to pop up to go buy that thing. You got to know that you really want it. So I would say, if whether that's your clients that you're saying yes to, or you're buying something, give yourself a second to just decide consciously if you're going to do it while you're not in the emotions of the moment. And I promise you that you'll make clearer decisions that way. And I've just found that's really helped with me a lot with, making better decisions for my business. And lastly, I'm going to tell you that my third mistake is not focusing on sales constantly. This is something Jason, my husband, and I talk about all the time, that he has a really strong belief, and I'm adopting this as well. I agree with him that you should never take your foot off the sales gas pedal. And I always say, easy for you to say, like, when you're wearing 7 hats, you can't be doing all the things at once. But he has a point in that you should always be selling, even when you have a full roster of clients and you're at capacity, even when you're not launching, even when you're, not in complete sales mode. You never turn off the sales machine entirely. It just turns the dial down a little bit, but you never turn it off. So you should always be selling, always be networking, always be connecting, and always be in that mode where you're willing to welcome the opportunities that come along to work with new people. And you should be, even if you're at capacity, you should be welcoming those relationships, because you never know if, you'll let a client go, a client will let you go, or if you just want to have a pipeline of clients or a pipeline of customers that are waiting to buy your offer, what is wrong with that, right? Like, what is wrong with more people that want to buy it than you have the capacity to serve? That's wonderful. So I think it helps you get creative and it helps you understand what the market's demanding, get you good research. Always be out there, always be selling to some extent and be doing marketing activities. Never turn it off. I find that here's an example. Accountants, guys, if you're listening to this and you're an accountant and you've worked with accountants, you know, your marketing basically shuts the hell down from January to April. Why? Because you're too busy doing taxes. Well, if you have a marketing system, if you have a process in place, and if you create enough content, we'll say between October and December, you go into full content creation mode, you never have to turn off the machine. It's going to be running while you're doing taxes. So if you have the equivalent of that, or whether it's seasonality or something like that, never turn off the sales machine. Always have it be generating something, whether it's content, whether it's emails, it could be outreach, it could be, you know, hiring someone on Upwork to research things for you and pull, you know, Upwork proposals that you can submit. You know, I do speaking opportunities and research those and research podcasts. There's so much you can be doing that can happen in the background. And it doesn't have to take a ton of your time and attention. So my biggest mistake, I would say, in that realm is not focusing on sales constantly and letting myself turn off the sales machine from time to time when I get tired. And I just kind of say, well, I'm really not focused on client acquisition right now because we have enough clients, or because I'm really focused on fulfillment. I'm really focused on operations. But what I do is I tend to turn a blind eye to acquisition and I just kind of turn it off. And you know, recently I've just kind of discovered that you never turn any one of those three pillars off, whether it's acquisition, operations, or fulfillment. You never turn one off. You simply let it run. You simply turn the dial down on your focus level, but you never turn it off. It's so important. So really, hiring and overpaying the wrong person, saying yes too soon, and not focusing on sales constantly, those are my biggest mistakes. If I could go back, I would definitely be flexing my no muscle a lot more often. And I would definitely be focused more on acquisitions than I was, and getting really good at the detailed, focused acquisitions of the right clients. I think those are the biggest things. And again, hindsight's 2020. You connect the dots looking backwards. So looking back on this now, of course, I would do things slightly differently, but I am grateful for all the lessons I've learned through these quote unquote mistakes. And I'm curious, what are some of your most expensive mistakes? They could be literal purchases. They could be investments that you've made. They could be the wrong hire. I want to hear your stories. So please share them with me. If you're listening to this episode and you learned something today, hit up social media, tag me at Shannon K. Weinstein. And I would love to know, what are some of your most expensive mistakes? Let's actually share them with each other so we can kind of relate and realize that, hey, we're not alone. We all make expensive mistakes, even me as a CFO. All right. See you on the next episode. Everyone says you need to get a bookkeeper, but what good is that if you don't know how to read the financial statements they give you? If you're hesitating to ask questions on your numbers, or you're not even looking at them because you don't know how to turn them into actions, we're now offering an accessible option for you to get the support you need to use your financial statements effectively. It's called the CFO on Demand. You can bring your financials to a call with me or message me privately about what's going on with your business. We will even go over what documents you need to send your tax pro so you feel prepared and confident this tax season. Want to learn more? Head to thecfoondemand.com, and the link is down in the show notes. Again, that's thecfoondemand.com. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.